The semi-custom 2011 market is getting thicker. Another shop known for their long guns has spun up a 2011 style pistol operation. The Vudoo Gunworks Priest is their gun. For a pretty reasonable price of about $3,200, you can spec out a gun you can try and impress your friends with, but then they will be really confused by your texts. Welcome back to the Humble Marksman channel. I'm David, and have you ever wondered why you can't hear pterodactyls go to the bathroom? It's because their pee is silent. And this is the Vudoo Gunworks Priest. Now, a lot of you guys have been anxiously awaiting this gun. I needed to shoot it in a match first before I finished kind of my review on this, and that happened this week, so here you guys are. So being influencer scum and peddler of cringe, you're like, well, you just got that gun sent to you. No, guys, I bought this gun straight up because I had heard such good things about it. I wanted to experience it sort of firsthand. And the quickest way to get a gun when you want one is just to buy it. So that's what we did. So the Priest is new on the 2011 scene, new this year as of SHOT Show. I believe that's 2023 when I'm filming this, but it's already showing up in the holsters of some pretty heavy hitters. And to that point, I'm filming this the week after 2023 USPSA Handgun Nationals, and Max Leo Grandis won the limited optics division with one of these guns in his holster. So already this gun has a national title to its credit, the inaugural limited optics win. But the 2011 market is super thick right now, so how does it stand up? We'll talk about all that and more. But first, my channel sponsors. I do want to shout out my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much. I'm going out and making an announcement. I'm actually switching to locals. I'll be building up a locals page and pushing harder on Rumble. So be sure to follow me on Rumble if you don't already, and my Patreon stuff will eventually switch over to locals. The ammunition used in this video was provided by Global Ordnance with their Igman and Bellam ammunition. The stuff goes bang when you pull the trigger and is pretty darn consistent. So thank you to Global Ordnance for the support. So back to the Priest, and I know a lot of you are like, well, it's just another expensive pistol. What's so different about it? Well, yes, but this one actually is milling slides that accept full width optics onto the slide without the use of plates, which is pretty unique in the space because 2011 slides are thinner than most optics are. So what ends up happening is you get the thin slide with the fatter plate, and then the optic is sandwiched down onto it. Even the high-end shops like Nighthawk Custom are using plates, even though their plates are amazing. But the guys at Vudoo Gunworks have kind of come up with a new slide design that allows you to mount optics straight on them, which is pretty cool. And you can order flat top sights. You can see there is no iron sights on this bad boy. It is intended to be an optic gun, and it is an optic gun, which is awesome. Through the website, you can specify a number of things. You can pick all the colors. You can specify whether it is a bushing barrel or a bull barrel, but real connoisseurs always go for the bull barrel. The frame is steel, but the grip is aluminum, and they are finishing them in Cerakote. This is the tungsten Cerakote with an exposed stainless slide, and all of the fire control bits are all, you know, polished silver, matte silver, whatever you want to call it. You have two different options on magwell. This is the tactical magwell, and I have one of the larger XL magwells, which would be appropriate for USPSA on order. And the lead time or build time, I don't know what it's going to be at like stabilization, as this is a pretty new product. But when they first kind of announced these things, I ordered this gun on August 1st. It was shipped to me, like left their factory on August 21st. So it had a 3-week build time, which is absolutely exceptional. And I don't think you should expect that because the quoted build time was 6 to 8 weeks. And it probably will settle out to that once people figure out about these guns. Before we start diving deep in all of the Neckbeard 2011 nerd stuff, the gun does ship in a super nice Savior case. This is a very nice range bag that you can carry the pistol to and from the range in. And it's really interesting to me because all the people in the comments are like, I don't care what kind of case the gun comes in. And I can make that accent because I'm from the hills of North Georgia. It's okay, guys. I love you all. Ricky Bobby is my spirit animal. But what's really amusing about people who have high-end guns is these are the kinds of cases they carry them to the range in. So even though nobody cares about the case, they use them to bring the guns to the range. And I'm no different because that is what I bring the gun to the range in. So obviously the pistol is super premium with the bag and everything else. And so let's just kind of dive deep on what it is. So we'll kind of start up top. As mentioned, the optic is direct mounted to the slide and there are no iron sights. But what it does have is this cool like pentatop cut so that when I rotate it like this, it catches the light different, and that's like mesmerizing. It's on the bottom of the thing too, so you can just kind of go like that. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is very, very cool. The serrations on the front of the gun are not good. They don't bite nearly as hard. Like, it's not a big deal because the springing is so light, and for those who ask, it comes set up with a 10-pound recoil spring and an 18-pound hammer spring. I asked them, they told me. So I'd appreciate it if these cuts were a little bit more aggressive, less kind of dehorned and a little bit more exaggerated. It's not a big deal. I mean, you can rack a Glock slide from the front without any serrations, so the fact that they have any is good. And at the back of the slide, I mean, the serrations basically don't count. They're there, so they can say they have them, but they're underneath like the fat part of where the slide flares out for the optics. It's like very difficult to get on them. You're likely to just grab your optic and use it as a slide racker, which works, and you can do it. Getting down onto the frame, part of the reason I really like this pistol is I like short-railed pistols. I don't love the full-length dust cover that has been kind of like the standard for 2011 pistols for so long. I actually kind of like the short rails, and this has a short rail. That said, right after I ordered these things, they introduced the option for a full-length dust cover. So if you're one of those guys, you can buy them that way. You can get a short rail or a full rail. It just depends on what you want. This will fit all of the standard 2011 holsters, no problem. But if you want the full-length dust cover, go nuts. As mentioned, the frame is steel, and it has a very nice sort of trigger guard with a double undercut. So when you build a grip on the pistol, it feels super duper nice. The slide stop is kind of a lower profile deal, and the reason for that is in performance pistol shooting like USPSA, you don't ever want to do a reload from slide lock. So my buddies who shoot IDPA will probably want a profile that is a little bit more exaggerated so you can get onto it to drop the slide a bit easier. Moving back to the manual safeties on the gun, they are full ambi, but they're actually pretty trim. I kind of prefer the big obnoxious paddles that are on most of the other guns that I have. It's not a big deal, like it's not a deal killer. I do wish that there were like another 2 lines of serration that extended out to kind of give me a place for my thumb to just kind of hang out. Coming down onto the grip. The grip is aluminum, as I've mentioned. It looks very much like the Chile grips, like it's got kind of the micro pocket texture on the front strap and back strap. Then it has kind of the tread texture on the sides of the panel. And that actually is a pretty darn good way to do a pistol, because when you rub against the side, it's abrasive, but not terrible. I wouldn't want to carry it, but you could. But when you get on the front and back strap, which matter the most, it absolutely locks in and isn't going anywhere. When I shot this match, I forgot to put on my dry hands before the first stage for kind of the grip enhancement, and honestly, I felt like I didn't need it because the grip is so really well squared away. Because it is an aluminum grip, the beaver tail is not a safety, it's just a beaver tail, so it doesn't do anything. Like, it will drop the hammer without any pressure right there. At the bottom of the grip is their tactical magwell. It is a little baby magwell, and much like other 2011 builders, this is not unique to Vudoo Gunworks, is this magwell does not correct magazines as you insert them, so the base grip will have a little bit of mag binding. It's not a big deal. It's actually pretty common on these metal gripped 2011s, but there's not kind of that radius. Like Masterpiece Arms puts like a radius right there inside the grip, and it makes the reloads very easy with zero binding. There's just a tiny little bit of binding if you're not perfect on reloads, which I seldom am. Talking about the rest of the controls, the mag button that they provide is actually, if it's not perfect, it's as close to it as I can imagine. It is awesome. I wish I had it on all of my pistols. And the trigger is a red dirt trigger, which is an amazing 2011 trigger. I'm using the standard curve profile, and the trigger came set up at about 3 pounds, which is a good weight for a 2011. I'm sure they could set it up lighter if you asked them for it, but I think their standard trigger job is just at 3 pounds. And the quality of the trigger job, there is a slight amount of take up, just like you'd like. A very firm wall, very little over travel, and that's for me basically a perfect setup on a 2011 trigger. And I like a little bit of over travel because when you shoot from like weekend only, and your grip is not super amazing because you don't practice weekend only a lot. I mean, who else would do that? But when you don't shoot it a lot, sometimes you can lead to like doubling on these like super light triggers. So the fact that there is a little bit of over travel is kind of a safety guard against the gun doubling. And so that's all to the good. So the way I ordered this gun was to be set up for IDPA carry optics, at least out of the box. And I got the other magwell on order for USPSA limited optics. The gun shipped with two 19-round MBX magazines, which are basically useless for sporting purposes because they're too big for the IDPA box and there's not enough rounds in them to be useful in the US PSA side of the house. I don't know if it's still the case, but it used to be on the website that if you specified the XL magwell, they would ship 140s. I bet if you ask them when you're ordering, they will ship 140s with the gun if you're a US PSA guy. Similarly, I don't know what the correct magazine to ask for IDPA is, but the 19 rounders are just a little bit too big. I'm pretty sure, at least. That said, I don't know that this fits in the IDPA box. Like, it's a 5-inch 2011, but the beaver tail might be slightly too long to fit in the box. I don't have one, so if you've got one, sound off in the comments and let me know if it fits in the IDPA box properly or if you would have to trim on the beaver tail. As far as how it shoots, the gun weighs 41.5 ounces unloaded. The bare weight of the pistol is that. So with a regular flush length magazine, I'm using the Duramags with Terran Tactical base plates for IDPA. It brought it right to 44.5 ounces, which is dead on perfect for IDPA carry optics if it fits in the box. The nice thing about kind of that 40 to 44 ounces for a non-compensated 9mm pistol is it's pretty much ideal in how the gun handles. You get all the benefit of a big heavy gun that is going to, you know, flop out of recoil and be more stable, and also it's going to settle in, you know, faster off of transitions to kind of steady up. It's going to be easier to aim at small distant targets with. It's a really good weight for, you know, precision shooting. It's not so heavy that it's a pig to swing around in transitions, although some smaller statured shooters might find 41 ounces to be a bit heavy. It's kind of my sweet spot and where I prefer my 9mm guns to be. And to that point, at speed, the gun is very, very stable. I was very happy with how it performed. Accuracy out of the gun, as you can imagine, is super duper top notch. You can shoot anything you can see with this pistol because it's mega accurate. The grip texture on the gun, I think, assists in that. Like I say, the awesome, like I guess they're called micro pockets on the front and back strap absolutely bite into your hand, but this traction on the side of the gun plants the gun in your hand so that it doesn't move around and recoil. It's just super, super steady. Feels really, really good. The ergonomics, I mean, I like medium curve triggers. This is a medium curve trigger and a very nice one at that, like very high quality feel to the trigger. The gun just gets out of the way and it translates your skill onto the targets. Like, there's nothing I'm fighting with this pistol. It just does really well. And obviously the aesthetic is right up my alley, which is why I bought the pistol in the first place. So the Priest is a pretty awesome value in the 2011 space. I know it's tough to call a $3,000 pistol a good value, but it really is if you consider the craftsmanship that you're getting and sort of the competitive landscape, because the fit and finish of the gun is absolutely bonkers. This is the tightest fit 2011 that I have bought out of the box. Now, it's got about 1,000 rounds on it now, and I'll do the rock test, see if you can hear this. There is a very small amount of wiggle on the slide to frame at just north of 1,000 rounds when I would consider the gun kind of broken in at this point. But the fit of the gun, like, it feels like a higher end gun. I gave it to a young guy who just started shooting competitively after the IDPA match I shot, and he giggled and ended up shooting a lot more ammo than he probably wanted through the gun. He referred to it as cheating because it feels like a high-end pistol. And the only people who would disagree with me are those guys with the Infinity tattoos. And when I say tattoos, it's plural, because if you've got one tattoo for Infinity, you probably have multiple. Some of them they probably just won't show you. So it's not quite an Infinity level of fit, but I think it would keep up with something like an Atlas and easily with the, you know, Masterpiece Arms guns that this competes with on a price point basis. If you've got questions, sound off in the comments. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.